Hello, what's going on, everyone? Phil here, and welcome to Ask the King. I believe this is episode 91, I want to say. As you know, Ask the King is my dedicated Q&A show. Unlike my daily live streams, where usually we have a podcast where we talk about a variety of topics and I answer your questions, and then we go into gameplay. And yes, I also answer your questions during the gameplay. This is my ongoing legacy show, which is absolutely dedicated to answering your questions from my forums, from my members here on DSPGaming on YouTube, and also from my Twitter account. So this show has been running over a decade at this point, if you can believe it. It's one of my longest running shows of all time. That's when people ask me, well, why do you still do Ask the King? It's because it is one of my longest running things. It's a tradition. People like it. There's been a few times over the years I've actually questioned its existence, and I'm like, do we really need to keep doing this show? To which I get the response, yes, you need to keep doing it. If you don't do it, we'll be very upset with you. Like, this has happened over the years. You're like, how dare you even suggest that you would not continue Ask the King? So, we're continuing on. All right, today, many questions to be answered from patrons, from channel members, from just, random people who posted on my forums, DSPGaming.com, and for people who this morning posted to my Twitter at @TheyCallMeDSP. So there's various different ways to get your questions answered on the show. And already I have set up the forum thread for the next show, which is tentatively scheduled for early September. Not 100% set in stone, only because you guys remember that in September, typically we started the busiest gaming season of the year. And there's potential that we'll be so busy with new games that we'll probably bump it. In fact, traditionally, yes, in the fall, the show does tend to get bumped around until we find a time that makes more sense to do it. But in the meantime, you can post up your questions over there, okay? Now, format of the show is as follows. I basically do 1 hour segments where I kind of answer questions, then I take a break, then I'll answer more questions, take a break, and then we kind of have a finale segment. First, I'll start off with patron questions, then I go to member-only questions. So if you're a member of this channel on YouTube, DSP Gaming, you had priority to ask your questions. And I hope that you enjoyed posting up questions for the last few weeks. A lot of you are going to get your questions answered live on the show today, and thanks to my members for supporting the channel as always, okay? Then I get to open forum questions and Twitter questions to end the show. Typically, if there's extra time, I will try to answer open Q&A questions, but the show ends by roughly around 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is about just under 3 hours from now. I don't want a 7-hour show. So we'll see, as time permits, what happens here. All right? Now, we're episode 91. If you do the math and you say, oh, well, if you do one every 2 months or so, that means, by the end of 2023, you might hit episode 100. That's crazy to think that this show has been going on for so long, in 3-hour increments, by the way, that I could hit 100 episodes. Like, seriously, how crazy, right? I guess we'll see how things go. Will the planet even be intact by late 2023? I mean, we may live on Jupiter by then. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being here live, those who are live. We have a good audience here today. For those who watch on demand on YouTube as well, thank you. I appreciate that those who continue to watch on demand. Remember, all my content is now here on DSP Gaming. I don't upload to my vlogging channel anymore, so everything is focused here in this one spot. I know for some people that's weird, like, oh, I don't want to Ask the King on DSP Gaming. Well, this is where it is now, so it's here or nowhere. All right? Get used to it. Okay, then. All right. Without further ado, I don't think we beat around the bush a little bit too long here. I did receive a $1 tip from Atlas Telemon. $1.50 says, I don't agree with you, we're doing a hat swap. If you don't know what he's talking about, on a normal stream of mine, I have goals set up for levels of support. And usually if I raise $100 on any given stream, I offer people, hey, I'll put on a hat for you. Here's a poll to determine what hat I will wear for this stream. But it has been a long-running tradition that whenever I do my Ask the King Q&A show, I wear my old cowboy hat. It's been over a decade I've been doing this, okay? So I told everyone here before we started today, live on stream, I said, hey, if we hit $100 in support, I'll give you guys the option to either just I keep the hat on because you like it, it's such a long-running tradition, or I'll do a poll where you have 3 options of a hat swap, basically, okay? And I could have a hat changing in the middle of Ask the King. Well, apparently Atlas is very, very upset about this, okay? So I guess we'll see. Uzi Gohart through the $1.50 says, you can't live on Jupiter. You're crushed by immense pressure and gravity. All right. Thank you very much, Uzi. Mr. Matter of Fact. I appreciate that information very much. You also can't technically shove a cactus up your ass, but I make jokes like that all the time, too. Anyway. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now get started here with Ask the King, shall we? Okay. So our first question is it's a very lengthy explanation, but it's an interesting question that actually ties in to something that I've actually been exposed to in games in the last 5 years or so. So I actually think it's a pretty pertinent topic. So this question is from Slayer. Slayer is a patron of mine over on patreon.com. You check that out, patreon.com/darksidephil is my Patreon page if you're interested in taking a look at it. So he recently pledged to my Patreon and had me do a special video. First time I ever did anything like this. I reacted to K-pop music and videos. Okay? 4 different ones. And doing this exposed me to a genre of music to which I have little to no experience of whatsoever. All right? And it was an interesting thing. He eventually uploaded the video to his own, I guess he made a YouTube channel for it. Which is his right. When you get a private video made as a result of being a patron of mine, you actually get a disclaimer that kind of says you can do whatever you want with this video. It's your property now, right? So he decided to upload it publicly. The video got some attention from my trolls mostly, but got some attention. People were like, oh, it's something unique Phil's never done before. So since that video came out like a week or two ago, now people are all talking about me and my exposure to K-pop and stuff, okay? So Slayer has done this follow-up question. Let me read everything he has to say because it's a giant paragraph giving me information about the K-pop industry, and then I'm going to, react to and answer it for you, okay? Fair enough? Okay, cool. All right. So, Slayer says, hi, Phil. I'm really enjoying your interactive streams these days. And I've enjoyed the private react that you did to K-pop. So there you go. That's why I had to give the premise, because if I didn't give the premise, you wouldn't have understood what exactly he was talking about. Okay. You had mentioned that it's your first time actually looking and listening to a K-pop music video and that you enjoyed it. I have 2 questions. The first question is, what do you think of the K-pop music industry in terms of its musical style, the musical video quality, in terms of its cinematography, and the artist's vocals as well as their choreography as a whole? I have a second question. Knowing that these artists spend years of their life dedicating to training and singing, dancing, acting, and all of that, they debut at a young age. What are your thoughts of such a long training period? Do you think that it's too harsh, or is it worth it to train that long to achieve a dream? Do note that these trainees don't even get to earn much fame or money until they get popular after working for years and years to pay off their debts. And then he goes on to explain it, which I'll read because this is interesting and fascinating background info. All right, which I don't know anything about this industry, okay? In South Korea, for example, for someone to be an idol, they either have to audition for an entertainment company to then be accepted into the company as a trainee or recruited by said company scouts from the streets if you're just lucky. Once they become trainees, they then have to train their vocals and rapping techniques, dancing, as well as acting to a certain degree, and then they have to train their mannerisms in order to be considered a proper idol. They usually have monthly assessments to see if their training, Jesus, listen to this. They have monthly assessments to see if their training has made them improve and decide if they will be selected to be made into the final idol group to debut. It's also a form of competition among each other to get selected. If they don't show any improvement or not enough improvement, they might get released from the company. Once they're selected to be in a group, they then have to train together to prepare for a debut recording with their debut song, practicing said song and choreography, as well as filming their music video, which usually lasts for a few days straight. Once they debut, then they have to work with that company, and the money that they earned is just used to pay back for all the debt they incurred training. My God, this sounds like a scam or like a crazy ass. All right, I'm gonna withhold my opinion until I finish reading this. Okay, usually it will take 2 to 3 years if a group is quite popular to pay off their debts, and then they finally will get to bring home some of their income. In the meantime, these idols will be living in dorms together while they work. So usually these idols have to be passionate about their dreams to make it through this. It's hard for them to chase it just for money and fame. It's not guaranteed that they will get this even after their debut. Most of them usually will start from a young age when they're still schooling, and they balance school and trainee life. Jesus, fuck. Well, first of all, okay, this actually makes something that happened in a video game that I played over the past few years make a lot more sense. If you guys remember, when I was playing Yakuza 5, okay, one of the characters was Haruka. Now, Haruka was a girl who was orphaned during Yakuza activities in the earlier franchise, and the main protagonist, Kazuma Kiryu, essentially raises her like a surrogate dad, okay? At one point in the franchise, Yakuza 5, she decides she wants to try to be an idol, all right? She's kind of pushed into this lifestyle, I guess. She's recruited and be told, oh, I want you to be an idol, a J-pop, not K-pop, but J-pop idol. So she's taken under the wing of this person who I guess, to some extent, is like a previous idol who now trains and coaches new girls to be idols. And basically everything here that's described by Slayer was true with a few exceptions. For example, she didn't have to live in a dorm with other people. She lived at her own apartment. But she had to train with other people. She had to go in a competition to go head-to-head against another a group of 2 other girls. And there were other girls who were training to be idols as well, who she had interactions and side quests with during the course of the game. And essentially, I guess it was implied that, yeah, it wasn't like she was getting this for free, that there was some debt being incurred, but it was never fully explained in the game, right? What's hilarious about all of this is the finale of the game. For those who don't know, I'm about to spoil Yakuza 5 a little bit. So step back if you don't want to be spoiled, okay? And mute this portion. So in the finale of the game, Haruka is in the finals of this competition to become an idol or whatever. And she wins, okay? But then makes the big announcement on stage, I've decided I don't want to do this. Like, my real life is more important, and my family and everyone who I'm tied to. So I've decided to, just step back, and I actually don't want to do this, okay? But that's what the funny part about it is if this is all true about this industry, which I'm assuming it is, why would Slayer lie to me about how this industry works, right? Then that means she's fucked herself over for life, right? She had been in training or whatever with this company. She wins the competition, which means she probably would have been popular, started earning money for the company and paying back the debt she incurred to be trained, but then she quits. So now she has a giant lingering bill over her head. Does that mean for the rest of her life, half of her money that she's making from any other jobs has to go to pay off this shit she never did anything with? Just think about, that would be like the equivalent of going to like medical school and you take out, $1 million in student loans to put yourself through medical school. And then when you graduate, you decide you don't want to be a doctor anymore, but you still have the student loan debt, right? So that's pretty crazy. Now, the thing, and now, again, I'm making a lot of assumptions here based off of what Slayer said. First of all, his first question was, what did I think about the cinematography and the quality of the singing and everything of the K-pop videos that I watched? Keep in mind, I've watched 4. That's it. 4 videos. Okay, so I don't have a lot of exposure here, a lot of frame of reference. By the way, yes, Fan of Lovecraft, the troll that you're seeing is the same person. They've been coming in here every day with 100 accounts. Just ban it on site and just move on, and eventually the guy runs out of accounts, and then he comes back tomorrow. So he's going to keep coming today with bullshit. Just ignore him, ban him, and move on. Thank you for helping Fan of Lovecraft, by the way. Okay. Overall, I was actually impressed with the cinematography of the K-pop videos that I saw, because for me, they were like mini movies, or to some extent, just very artistic. Like, I remember, the only frame of reference I have to compare K-pop music videos to is the pop music from the 1990s that used to be like on MTV. Total Request Live, TRL used to be the show. And people would vote in the videos they wanted to see. And the pop band, like NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Ricky Martin, fucking Shakira. These were all the pop stars of the time in the mid to late 1990s when all this shit was becoming very popular, right? Okay. So all that being said, okay, I would say that that music of that era for me was very, very, how can I say, fluffy. And what I mean by that is it had no substance. It was catchy, and definitely you could tell there was budgets for the music videos at the time. Those were some of the most expensive videos made, but there was nothing really to the music. The music was produced in a studio, written by some ghostwriter dude. None of those artists were writing their own music or lyrics. They were just puppets. They were just there to sing a lyric, dance around, look pretty or handsome or both in some cases, and basically be a product to be pushed forward and sold en masse. Okay? Now, there are a few exceptions, but for the most part, a lot of those people kind of like that was their time of their life to do that, and then they moved on and did other stuff. You know, you'll have a Justin Timberlake or a Britney Spears who maybe went on and made music later, but for the most part, that was like, okay, they do it for 5 years, they're done, they made a fortune, they move on, they're done. They're a celebrity for life, but you don't see, you know, fucking 98 Degrees is not making new music in 2022. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so the thing about the music was it had no meaning behind it. It was fluff. It was not anything that, you know, when you're listening to fucking Bye 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 by NSYNC, you're not getting an education on anything. You're not learning, and you're not getting an emotional. It's a fluffy, poppy song. Yes, it's catching. I still remember some of the lyrics in my head today, and I remember their stupid dancing with the bye 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 like this and shit. But it doesn't mean anything, you know. When I watch some of this K-pop stuff that Slayer provided to me to react to, immediately I noticed that the lyrics had meaning. Like, the first song I listened to was about this guy. The song was called Devil, and it's about this guy's morality being challenged, that in life he's facing these hardships, and he's like, well, there's two ways to go about overcoming a hardship. You can do the easy way out or the hard way. The easy way out is to just step on everyone, mistreat everyone, basically do a deal with the devil to get ahead, and now I could be happy and popular or whatever, and who cares who I hurt in the process. But that's the devil's way. Then you've got the hard way. Fight your way out of the hardships you come across. Don't hurt everyone around you. Instead, do it the hard way and the right way. But you're going to go through a lot of suffering and a lot of pain doing it, but you'll come out the other end a better person. Okay? And I got that. Literally, I've heard the song 3 times. Ever. I was only supposed to hear it once, but I kept having errors making this video for Slayer, so the thing had to be re-recorded 2 more times. And I'm listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, this is actually meaningful. Like, if you listen to this song and you don't see the video or whatever, and you're just listening to the lyrics, I'd be like, wow, like, this actually is meaningful stuff. Okay? Then you watch the video, and the video is like a horror movie combined with like artistic visuals and then like almost video game stuff in there. I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting, right? How they did this. And then, you know, the singing. And I'll be honest with you, like, the singing to me, I've heard so much pop music singing in my lifetime that it just all sounds the same to me. I'll be honest, it really does. Like, when I ever hear a pop song now, it's just like the same shit. Everyone always wants to sound the same because they hear a sound that they've heard somewhere else and they want to emulate that so that they can sell their album or whatever. And I'm listening to the K-pop singing, and I think it's good, but I'm not like, oh, blown away by the vocals or anything like that. And maybe that's just because I grew up in the 90s and there was so much of this shit prevalent in America that now it's like, oh, it really does. A lot of the music sounds like the music from the 90s to me. The thing is, the subject matter is different and meaningful, and the actual videos are well produced and much better cinematography wise. But the singing kind of, it's like, damn, I feel like I hear some of the same songs. Seriously, they sound the same to me. So, that's kind of my take, just in general, on the K-pop that I've seen. But the industry, now that I'm getting information about this is how the industry is set up, okay? I gotta ask a couple questions. Question number 1 is, how young are these people being pulled into this? Because here in the United States, there's the age of reason, which is supposed to be 18 years old. When you're 18, you're considered a legal adult, and now you're supposed to have hit the age of reason. You're now old enough to make adult decisions for yourself. This is why the age of 18 is the age when someone can, like, do things that they couldn't do previously on their own. And if these kids are being pulled into this industry at an earlier age than that, like, let's say they're being pulled in at like 15, 16, are they necessarily mature enough to be making these decisions that could mold their entire life? Because as we're finding out here, when you go into this training, and you're now trying to hone your voice and your dancing skills, your idol persona to be something popular to the masses. I mean, it sounds like an industry that is so huge that, and it's such a big part of this Asian culture, right? Not only in Korea, but we always also found out again from the Yakuza games, this is present in Japan and other Asian countries as well, right? So if it really is this popular and this major part of their culture, this is serious shit. This is a lot of work, and this is, you know, life-changing stuff. Can you really say that someone who's like 16 years old has enough life experience and enough maturity to make a decision for the rest of their life? Should they be given that kind of responsibility? Where are the parents involved? Do the parents make the decision for the child? And in which case, is that fair? Because what you're essentially saying is you're getting people hooked into this level of life that this is going to be not only years of their life now to train and try to make it happen, but now they've got years they have to work off this debt that they've incurred for their training, right? It's not only, oh, try to make it big. If it doesn't work out, oh, well, big deal, go have another life. It's, oh, try to make it big, and if you didn't make it, guess what? You still got to pay for your fucking training, so now your life is ruined because you can't make enough money to pay it off. You know what I'm saying? So this certainly, to me, seems pretty crazy. And, you know, the same thing can be said for, like, child actors, right? You see children in television and movies, and they're like, gee, I wonder how that's working out. Is their money going to a trust fund that they get when they're an adult? Are their parents leeching off of them and pushing them into something they don't want to do? There's all these kind of questions that pop up. You know, for the most part, just like a lot of things that we've been exposed to when playing these Japanese-centric games like Yakuza and others like Persona, there's a lot of shit in Japan I don't understand. I don't understand these fucking cafes where you go on virtual dates with people and you pay them money to have drinks and then there's no relationship but you just spent all your money. I don't understand half the cultural shit over there. It's very odd, and it's like, it really is when you play those games, like culture shock. Like, what the hell, that exists? I can't even believe. I thought it was a joke or fabricated for the game. No, this is a real thing over there, right? I'll be honest. Yeah, this whole idol culture, to me, is very rare, because do we have idols and pop stars in the United States? Yes. But do we have an entire fucking industry designed to recruit young kids into this? And it's this oiled machine of training and bills being incurred for the training, and then you get pushed into an idol circuit of reality television shows. No, that does not exist. We have reality TV, but it's nothing like that. There's no regular shit like that. It's not an established thing. You know, to be lucky enough to become a popular pop star in the United States is a rarity. There's a million people who try, they fail, they move on with their lives and do something else, but they didn't get pushed into this industry that they're stuck in forever. You know what I'm saying? This seems to me like a weird way that some bigwig who had a ton of money says, oh, let me create this fucking industry now where I could just profit off of this endlessly. And even if that person ends up being successful, I still make a buck because I incurred so much debt from them for the training that now I'm rich forever. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm off base because, again, I have a very cursory understanding of how this industry works, okay? But for me, like, that doesn't sound right. And what I would hope is that at least this is a regulated industry. And what I mean by that, I hope that there's laws in place to protect the people involved on all sides. I hope that it's not an abusive industry where people are literally ruining their own lives over it. Because, man, does it sound crazy to me that this is something that people would even want to aspire to do. Why would you want to take a chance on being a successful idol, where if you fail, you ruined your life, right? Like, that sounds crazy to me, that you would want to do that. In fact, in Persona 4, right, one of the characters is an idol, who used to be an idol but decided to retire from that life. And it's interesting that that person then becomes, like, part of your party and everything, but I don't know. It's just very odd to me. And again, maybe in the future I'll go into more detail about it as I get more information, but this is just my initial reaction. I thought the music I saw was more meaningful than American music. I liked the cinematography a lot. The singing is neither here nor there for me because I think all pop music kind of sounds the same to me now, but that's maybe just a result of me being older. But outside of that, just learning about this industry is like, just it's disheartening and alarming to me. Like, nothing about what was just described sounds good or kosher. It sounds scary. But again, it could be from me not being in that culture or that country and not really understanding it all. All right? So there you go. All right, so now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to questions that were from channel members. So if you're a current member of my channel, all 542 of you and growing, thank you for being a member. Thanks for the support. I sifted through your members' exclusive questions, and I'll be honest, the vast majority of questions we're going to answer today are actually members' questions. In fact, wow, there's a lot. I think 2 whole pages is members, and then there's 1 page of forum and 1 page of Twitter. So members got priority by far, okay? All right. So the first question is from GTD Gamer, all right? And he asked a 2-part question. I think both parts are actually kind of interesting, so let's take them on one by one. His first question, he says, is there any chance you would go back to a more of classic style for new releases or certain big releases where you play a game without looking on your stream chat and maybe look and do shoutouts every hour? A lot of people, including me, miss that classic style of your videos. I think that could be a good happy medium where people on both sides would be happy. So to put this into some perspective, okay, I was a YouTuber in the formative years of YouTube. You know, we're talking 2008 all the way through 2014. All right. Well, I'd say 2013. I was only making offline videos. There was absolutely no interaction with anyone because I wasn't even streaming. It was just offline video. So for a good 5-year chunk there, it was just me playing games for myself, essentially, with commentary over it. No distractions, no interruptions. Okay. Then I adopted live streaming in 2013, but from the years of 2013 to 2017, I ignored my stream chat, and essentially it was still like I was sitting there playing a game by myself. There were definitely a few different exceptions there. I don't know what 672 is saying here, but anyway, there's probably a few different exceptions there where basically I would interact with my chat on purpose. It would be like a special event. But for the most part, when I live streamed, I called it fan service. If you want to be here live, great, but understand I'm still doing kind of an offline playthrough for YouTube. All right? It wasn't until 2017 when I basically decided I can't rely on just offline style videos and ad revenue anymore. I have to be an interactive streamer, and I have to change my content style up. And for the last over 5 years now, I've been a full-time streamer that interacts with my stream constantly. We have fun conversation. I shout out your contributions. We have rewards for your contributions that interact and change the things happening on the stream, right? My content has dramatically changed in the last 5 years, in my opinion, for the better. Reason being, yes, there was a time when that kind of offline, isolated content worked. People liked the fact that I was hyper-focused on a game, and in 2-3 days, I would play 30 hours and beat a game and get that full playthrough on the internet and move on to the next. You know, it was definitely a time, okay? I see. People in chat are basically saying they disagree with GTD Gamer, who says, oh, there's a lot of people who miss that offline style content. They're saying, actually, no, most people like the online content, are used to that now. But what I was going to say is, I feel GTD Gamer is someone from that bygone era of content creation. Someone who probably watched me back in the day before I became a full-time streamer, right? And essentially now, we're at a time where things have changed for 5 years. I have a whole new audience. Most people who are watching me full-time today probably started watching me in the last 5 years, with some exceptions. So the group that I like to call, I used to call them the silent majority, but now I just kind of feel like they're the silent hardcore fans. The people who love what I do no matter what. They'll be through here for the trials and tribulations or whatever, right? But they used to watch that old content and they remember that, you know? So anyway, that I'm trying to put it in a frame of reference here. You know, there was a whole span of 2008 through 2017. Holy shit, that was like 9 years where I did this offline style. Then for the last 5 years, I've become the interactive guy on the internet, okay? Here's the thing. Like, as much as there's people who would love that style to come back, again, I really feel like that style is a bygone era. Number one, making that kind of content, right? Not having constant interaction, not having constant shout outs for contributions, basically makes it that you're just making the video for the sake of making that playthrough video. It's not about a social interaction anymore, you see? And that's fine for some people, but that worked when I was able to make a living putting out offline videos. That worked, you see, because I can say, okay, I'm focused just on my on-demand audience. It's your ad revenue from watching my video that helps. Thanks, guys. That is so long gone. It's been over 5 years since someone like me has been able to make a living on YouTube doing that kind of stuff. It's the ad revenue tanked so badly that there was just no way to make that viable at all. All right, it's just not. For me, putting out content where I'm interacting with you constantly, we have fun conversation and meaningful interaction during a stream. Not only is that more fun for me because it feels more natural, it's not me doing content for me, it's me doing it for a live audience. So we have that fun of the interaction and everything, right? And it basically makes it feel more meaningful. It really does. And I'll be honest, more casual. Like, I can relax. I can come to a stream and be like, hey, we're going to have a good time. We're going to shoot the shit, right? We're going to have a fun conversation. Who even knows what we're going to talk about today? Because you never know. It's that kind of surprise element. Like, who's going to ask you what or what's going to come up in the topic of discussion. But also, we're going to play a fun game. We're going to make progress. We're going to have our reactions to it together live. That, to me, is just way more meaningful, okay? And listen, I totally understand that some people will still think back to those olden days of content creation where it was all about just talking, doing silly commentary about the game in a video and kind of acting like I'm there by myself and just trying to entertain an audience by saying silly things or over-the-top things. And, you know, what I would say is maybe one day, all right, as an actual intentionally designed oddity project, right, Phil actually plays a game as if he were that old guy, that offline player, ignoring the chat. I'll close the chat, turn it off, and just play the game for the game's sake. And then maybe like once an hour, stop recording, come back, see what everyone's been talking about in the chat, shout out contributions, and then go back again. But here's the thing. This is my business model now. This is my livelihood. This is how I operate, and this is what people like. So I couldn't just say, oh, I'll take it all away and we're going to go back to the old way. No. But maybe as like an oddity, like we actually have a project set. There's one playthrough we want to Phil do as an offline playthrough. He will still stream it. You can still watch it live, but he's not going to do shout outs or anything live. He's not going to read the chat. Once an hour, he'll take a break, a 5-10 minute break where he talks with us and he reads shout outs. Then he goes back and starts recording again. You see? Maybe like that. But it would definitely have to be something special and different and set apart, and it cannot be how I do content anymore. It's just, it's quite frankly outdated. It just really is. It's very outdated. There's very few people out there who put out that kind of content and are successful, which is funny because it's weird. Over the last few years, my wife and I sometimes will watch certain content creators put out playthroughs just to get a different perspective on a game that I've played. Like, usually it's a game I've already played. Then we'll watch like 2 or 3 other people play it too and see what their experience was. There's still a couple people who do it that way. There's people who don't have face cam. I know that sounds weird. There's people who don't have face cam at all. There's people who they don't live stream. They're just doing offline videos. Somehow they're still making a living doing it. Don't ask me how. I don't know. Because maybe they're making millions and millions of views on their videos. I don't know, because I don't pay attention to that. But I can't imagine how you could not have any interaction with your audience anymore and still retain an audience. Like, directly, that is how people stay popular today, right? That's literally it. So, I don't know. But anyway, like I say, would I ever readopt that old style? No. No, I just wouldn't. This is it now. This is how it works, okay? But would I ever maybe go back and do something special as a one-off specialty, right? We pick a game, right? And we, that's a game that I will not do the live interaction with you guys. And instead, I'll just play the game at face value like I used to. And then maybe every hour go back and interact with you guys. Yeah, maybe then I would do it, something special. But I guess what we'd have to do is kind of brainstorm around it and see what would work for that. Because I have no clue. Okay. All right. Now, the second question from GTD Gamer. This is going to be a short and sweet answer for you, because you probably don't know about my history with this particular topic. So here we go. Get ready for drama. There is a YouTuber and streamer called Destiny who's been doing some good interviews and discussions with content creators who have more edgier pasts, including himself. He's always really respectful when he does interviews. There won't be drama, but I think he has good advice for you about things. And you two would have an interesting conversation and positive exposure because he's a big content creator. Okay. Destiny. I know nothing about the guy except for the fact that he literally, over the years, has name-dropped me and tried to pull me into his content for the sake of getting popular and or views from his viewers from time to time. My first interaction with this man was I was streaming a game called Prey. And at the time, I had been talking with you guys a lot about personal things going on in my life. This was the time when I, for the first time in many years, was single, was trying to like reform my life from the ground up. I mentioned to you guys that I needed to get a new car, and just casually talking about it, not giving tons of details or whatever, but it said, oh, you know, I'm thinking about getting this kind of a car, new versus used and all of this, right? Just casual stuff I'm just talking to my audience about. This is when I had just become an interactive streamer in 2017, and so we were trying to find topics to talk about, okay? This guy starts having entire segments of his own show about me. Oh, Phil doesn't understand how to buy a car. He's saying it's a buyer's market for cars. He has no idea what we're talking about. I know all about this topic, so I'll talk about it here. And then he starts coming on my streams, because this is when I was a Twitch streamer. He would just come into my stream. Phil, we need to talk about this immediately. Let's talk about buying cars. I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of playing Prey. Why the fuck do I want to stop playing the game to talk to you about buying a car? Who asked you for your fucking input on this? Nobody, right? I don't know you from a hole in the fucking wall. I don't know. Who are you? I've never heard of this guy before. He's never talked to me directly. Now he wants to derail my streams to talk about car buying. Like, what are you talking about? So I told him to fuck off. And that was it. Like, literally since that moment, I told this guy to fuck off. That's the only interaction I ever really had with him. Now, over the years, I've heard this guy literally brings me up from time to time whenever he's looking for a rise out of his audience and to get some kind of, like, you know, not clickbait, but, oh, I have nothing to do today. Let's bring up Dark Side Phil, okay? So I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, all right, I was doing a stream, my first ever React stream to Wings of Redemption's Down the Rabbit Hole video. Now, I outright said during that React stream, this is the first time I'm going through, you know, Wings of Redemption's history. I don't know anything personally about the guy. All I can do is watch this documentary and take everything in it as factually true. I don't have context for a lot of stuff in there outside of what's presented. All I can do is react to the stuff that's in that video, right? So I said I might very well have reactions here that are wrong because I don't know all the data. All I know is what's presented. But I'm going to react to what I see. One of the topics in that video was that Wings of Redemption himself, okay, Jordy, right? I almost said Richard. I did. Jordy, and that's fucked up too. That's the association stuck in my head from trolls. Has had friends who he did a podcast with for the longest time. I guess it was called Painkiller Already. And these friends, over time, there was like a breakup between him and the friends where they don't associate anymore. He was thrown off the podcast show. And this is discussed at length in this documentary, this Down the Rabbit Hole show. And it has all this context. It shows different events like, oh, this boot camp to get him to lose weight. That was part of the show. And they wanted him to go to some fucking cookout or whatever. I don't even know what it was. Some like camping trip. And he didn't go. And this was the big thing that blew up. And then they stopped being friends with him. Okay? So I reacted to that from my own perspective based on the information provided. All right? Now, after I did my react, which, by the way, my reaction was not very favorable for the Painkiller Already, guys. My perspective was these were guys who, yeah, they were friends with Jordy over the years, but they definitely, absolutely did their best to exploit this guy. They wanted to always have him as part of their content as the guy who they could laugh at his expense. He'd be the running joke. And let's be honest, do you think that seeing a bunch of fucking generic ass, you know, yuppie white guys going out to the fucking forest to camp is entertaining? No. Seeing a fat white guy go out there and try to do it and suffer with it and struggle with it, is that entertaining? Yes. So when he determined to not go on the trip with them, they freak out because now they have no reason to go out there because no one's going to watch them do it. No one cares. You see? So this is the point I'm making, is from the information provided in the documentary, in my opinion, it does not paint them in a very positive light. It makes them look like a bunch of exploitative guys who used Jordy over the years to get ahead, to get content, to make money, whatever you want to say. And yeah, maybe they were also friendly with him behind the scenes and doing friendly stuff with him, and they were true friends with him. But all I can react to is what you see in the documentary. All right? Now, you guys don't even know this, but after I reacted to that video, I was messaged by a couple dozen people who were adamantly defending the guys from the Painkiller Already podcast. Phil, you're an asshole. You don't understand. Those guys are great. Jordy's a piece of shit. You really screwed the pooch here with what you did. Why would you talk shit about them when you don't know the whole story, and yada, yada, yada. Now, I prefaced my reaction with saying I can only react to what I've seen in the video. I don't know the full story, but these people still got upset. From what I'm to understand, apparently the Painkiller Already guys are upset with me. They hate me now. They think that I'm a piece of shit for talking shit about them and by reacting to that documentary. That's what I've been told, is that now they, apparently on their show, they had a segment or segments about me. And guess who was involved? Destiny. The guy who apparently every once in a while wants to name drop me and bring me in dramatically to his content to make a buck, decided he was going to appear on their show, and they had a whole let's shit on Darkside Phil segment. They talked about my bankruptcy. They talked about all this drama and shit that happens with me on the internet that has nothing to do with my streams. It's all fabricated bullshit that people make up about me. But they sat there and they talked about it at length, like it was a whole show just to make money. Okay? Do you think I want anything to do with people like that? Seriously, why on earth would I fucking be involved with anyone like that? That is called, we have absolutely no value to add to the planet. All we fucking do is sit around talking drama. We exploited Jordy. Now we'll exploit anyone else who we can, even if we don't have a relation to them. We'll do it anyway. We'll keep fucking, we'll pull people into our drama vortex, right? So why on earth would I want to be involved with people like that, right? If the guys from Painkiller Already had reached out to me behind the scenes and said, Phil, so we heard that you reacted to us and stuff about us in that Down That Rabbit Hole documentary. Well, guess what? We'd like to have you on our show as a guest. We'd actually like to more elaborate about what you saw in that show to kind of give you a full perspective. That way, at least you kind of understand it. Then you can make your judgments for yourself. But we really feel it was kind of unfair what you said because you didn't have the full perspective. Why don't you come on our show and we'll talk about it like rational people? Right? Did that happen? No. What happened was they shat on me. They literally said, let's just pull a bunch of drama about Phil that's bullshit, or unsubstantiated nonsense on the internet. Let's have a shit on Phil show to make money. All right? Why the fuck would I want to be involved with anyone like that? Painkiller Already, Destiny. They could go fucking blow goats for all I care. Seriously. They, you know, those people are scum, man. People like that, you don't ever want to associate. You don't. You want to stay as far away from those kind of people as possible. If the only way you can make any kind of a living is to bring down others, talk about the drama of others. Again, this is the Keemstar syndrome, where Keemstar became popular on YouTube and all of a sudden everyone else decided to follow suit. Let's just constantly talk about drama and shit and really just insult everyone and hurt everyone around us and make a living doing it, right? It's pretty fucked up. It is. It's completely fucked up. And, you know, I just don't want anything to do with that at all. I want to stay away. That's the thing. If people wanted to be rational and fair, they would have, right? If Destiny actually wanted to have a conversation with me about something without drama and making money, he would have done so and not disrupted my stream, purposely got banned off the stream so that he would get the drama he was seeking and then get artificial views and things off of that. If the Painkiller Already guys actually cared about me talking about them in a negative light and wanted to clear it up, they would have, instead of doing an entire show dedicated to shitting on Darkside Phil to make money by making fun of someone. You understand? It's the same thing I said in the React video about Jordy. That's the kind of people they are. Oh, I don't have anything of quality to put on the internet, any positivity today. Let me just shit at someone and get by it on their expense and make a living doing it. I'm not that kind of person. I'm definitely not going to be doing anything like that at all. All right? I'm going to ignore the nonsense around me. I have nothing to do with that shit. I don't want to hear about it. I want nothing to do with Destiny or them. Again, if someone rationally contacted me behind the scenes, that'd be one thing. This shit never happens. Seriously, never. Do you guys remember a couple years ago when I was going through my bankruptcy? We had that guy, what was his, Rekieta or Rekita Law or whatever he is. And I know he's very popular on the internet. He's covered very popular court cases and he's blown up in popularity. Today he's like, makes a good living doing what he does. He decides to cover my bankruptcy. Out of nowhere. Does he contact me and say, hey, Phil, you know, let's talk about this or have you on the show? Does he say, hey, you know, could this possibly be hurtful to you if I cover it? No, he just does it. He just does it. You know, oh, who cares, right? And then what ends up happening is the bankruptcy gets granted. And everything that was said negative about me now blows up in everyone's face. And he did contact me behind the scenes, by the way. We had a conversation. And it was a nice conversation. And the guy seems like a nice guy and a well-intentioned guy. But again, these people don't realize that what they do is harmful. You have no idea what I went through in 2020 to try to get that bankruptcy, because so many people on the internet were discussing it publicly and 99% of what they were saying was untruthful. It was just fabricated bullshit. I basically had to do 10 times more work than anyone else to get that bankruptcy granted. And on top of that, I went through insane amounts of fucking stress personally in my life that I didn't deserve. It was insane, you know? So, again, and you know, by the way, I don't have any ill will towards that guy, Rekieta Law or whatever. We had a few conversations over the years that are very friendly, and I wish him the best. But at the same time, I really wish that these people, before they cover topics like this, or before they even, oh, today we're going to do a whole stream where we talk about Darkside Phil and his haters and shit. Why? Darkside Phil already has to deal with this shit on a daily basis. Darkside Phil doesn't want to discuss it because he knows giving trolls any attention just empowers them to do more. When you cover that, all you're doing is empowering them more and hurting the person who's, whether or not you're intending it, you're hurting the person who's the subject matter. So literally, every time Destiny brings me up and says something about me that's negative, it's another stab. It's another fucking pain in my ass. I'd rather have these people never mention me ever again. I don't need them name-jobbing me or bringing me up in their shit. No one cares. I certainly don't care. I'm not going to get anything out of it. I'm happy to be here on my stream in my little corner, my little cubby hole of the internet or YouTube or whatever you want to call it. In the 14 years, I built myself this place where I can have a fan base and a viewership and a fun little business. And that's it. That's all I want to do. I don't want to be a part of anyone's drama. I don't want to be a part of anyone's bullshit. You can be millionaires out there and have your vortex of toxic toilet bullshit that you talk about every day. Leave me the fuck out of it. Allow this segment of this Q&A show to be my public message to anyone out there who wants to involve me with your drama. Please fuck off. I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to be on your fucking podcast show. I don't want to get a $50,000 payday to be involved in your toxic shit. I want nothing to do with any of you. Leave me the fuck alone. I want to be here doing my own thing, and let me grow my little YouTube channel. You can make fun, oh, he's on level 1, he'll never be anything. Fuck off. Go do your level 99 horse shit and do your toxic shit and leave me alone. Normal people want nothing to do with you. No, really. We are down here on reality on Earth. We don't want to be living in your ivory tower fucking insulated from any kind of fucking pain or misery because I'm so rich bullshit. I'm never going to be there. I don't want to be there. I want to be normal like the people who I interact with on a daily basis on my streams. Leave me the fuck alone and leave my name out of all of your fucking toxic mouths, okay? I can't believe that these idiots constantly want me to pull me into their shit. No, I want nothing to do with you. Nothing. Not Destiny, not Painkiller already, not Keemstar, not anybody else. All right? Leave me alone. Let me and my viewers have fun here on reality on planet Earth, and you guys could live on fucking Pluto or wherever you live and do your toxic shit. I'm not like you, and I never will be. I don't want to be. I've aspired to change myself to not be the toxic, nasty person anymore, and I certainly don't ever want to make a living by harming others, so fuck off and leave me alone. Okay. So there you go. Hopefully that answers the question. That's why I want nothing to do with guys like Destiny and other people. You know, I just really want nothing absolutely to do with any of this. All right? Okay. We'll do one more question. We'll do some shout outs and then we'll take our first break. So the next question is from Brian5682. And he says, Seeing that the reaction videos you've done have been successful, will you branch out to doing collaborators with other YouTubers like Wings, JV, and Pipkin Pippa? I know who the fuck those people are. Also, will you ever play the Retro Might and Magic series, as you like to play RPGs as the short RPG? I will just say this, all right? If ever someone contacted me and said, we have an interesting thing that we'd like you to be involved in. We know you've been a 14-year content creator on the internet, or we know you've been a longtime fan of competitive Street Fighter. You've been there from the formative years, or maybe, oh, you grew up in the years of the arcades and you have some kind of unique perspective there. If someone were to contact me and say, hey, Phil, we feel that we'd like to have you involved in something intelligent, an intelligent and fun discussion about something where you can add something from your own personal perspective or experience. Having you as a part of this discussion or project would make it better. Then I would probably be interested. The problem is that has never really happened. It's always been, hey, Phil, can you come on and talk about your haters? Hey, Phil, can you come on to address the latest drama? Hey, Phil, can you do this? To which I say, no. I want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? I've separated myself from that shit. I'm happy where I am, doing what I do. I have no desire to be involved with any of that nonsense. And the problem is, especially when you talk with someone like Wings or someone like that, who they're so heavily involved in haters and drama and shit, it's hard to say that if I ever were to do a collab with Wings on anything, that somehow wouldn't spill over to me and my own viewer base, right? And that's the last thing that I would ever want, is that I negatively affect my viewer base or impact them in a bad way because I chose to do something outside of my normal range. You see what I'm saying? So if anyone were to ever contact me, right, and say, hey, Phil, here's an interesting idea and you could be involved because you've been on YouTube for 14 years, let's get your perspective, right? What if someone decided to do an in-depth documentary on the rise and fall of machinima? I was one of the bigger YouTubers who remained a partner of theirs through thick and thin until almost the very end of when they existed. And I feel like I could give some really unique perspective on that because I had a lot of unique experiences and interactions with them that apparently were very different from what other people had, okay? I really feel I can add to a discussion on that. Or you want to talk about those formative years of Street Fighter in the 90s and 2000s and the grassroots competition of the Evo series and the other big tournaments at the time and all of that, I could probably add a ton to a discussion like that. Or even in general, if you want to have a show, all right? Anyway, if you want to have a show where I talk about being a YouTuber over the years and how things have changed, the rise and fall of being a YouTuber over the years, right? Man, I could probably do a really interesting show about that. But no one ever reaches out for that shit. Or at least if they have, I didn't notice, I didn't see it. Maybe you got stuck in my spam filter over here. But it's always the bullshit. Did you hear what this guy said about you today? Will you come on the show and talk about it? Oh, we hear we got offered $50,000 by Keemstar. Will you come talk about it? No! No! I won't. I have no desire, okay? So in this regard, likely you won't see collabs or anything from me. Until someone actually wants to contact me about something intelligent, you know, I'm not gonna waste my time, and I'm certainly not gonna bring my viewership down to a shit level. You know what I'm saying? Your second half of the question about Retro Might and Magic, I don't know anything about it. So that would be up to the viewers to determine if there's something they want to see me play. I don't know anything about that franchise, okay? Plum Goral tipped me $10. Thank you, Plum Goral, for the tip. And says, I wanted to send some support. I've been away for a bit. It's been a busy summer. If time allows, can you briefly answer, would you ever try mobile games for a stream? Could be a fun one-off during a slow time. Best wishes to you, Kat and Jasper. Thank you. I would say the only mobile game I would probably ever be interested at this point checking out would maybe be that new Diablo game, because it seems pretty controversial, but at the very same time, fucking Asmongold was doing it, and he got fucking, like, banned from Twitch for it. Because some asshole said something in the chat. I wonder if you turn the chat off in the game so you don't get in trouble or whatever. But the thing is, I don't have a way to capture from a mobile device. Like, I don't know if there's a way to do it. I mean, again, this would have to be something I do research on. Do I buy a cable? Do I actually need to run it through, like I have a setup over there that I used many years for my PS3 to bypass the HDCP, the high definition content protection. Do I need to use that in order to, like, capture from my phone? I don't know. Are there emulators or things? And if that's the case, I can't do it. As you guys know, I can't do anything on my PC at all. It has to be like anything that I would do on my PC, like an emulator, I can't. My PC, as of now, gets almost maxed CPU when I stream. There's no way I could do that. It would have to be like a way to capture or whatever. Right? So, I guess the question would be, is there a game worth it to even check out? That enough people would be interested or invested in seeing me try it out? And then on top of that, would there be a situation where I could find a way to even capture from my phone? Because I don't even know. So, in summary, no, not really. I don't think right now there really has been much. Now, here's the thing. That could change. That absolutely positively in the future could change, because the reason is that... Wait, I got distracted. Oh, the reason is that mobile games are becoming more and more huge. Seriously. Okay? Huge. Ginormous. And they are becoming a giant chunk of the industry. Okay? They're winning market share, as they say. So, what I would say is, in this regard, if mobile games become as interesting, as full-fledged, as you know, must play as a console game, then I would maybe have to look into that. Maybe that could be something for future-proofing. I could actually find a way to capture from a mobile device. And if that's the case, likely it wouldn't even be... I would probably get like a business phone, a business line, and it would be just dedicated to doing that. That way there's no crossover between personal and business, and no way that, you know, things could get crossed, and God forbid the trolls with their fucked up stuff find out personal information about me. I wonder how that could go wrong. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like, maybe it could be something interesting that I do in the long term. As of now, I have not seen a reason. But maybe this Diablo game is the first. If that Diablo game continues to do well, and now you start seeing mainstream game devs making games exclusively for phones, we may actually see something happen. But for now, I'm going to say probably not. I'm probably not going to mess with that, okay? I got an anonymous $1.50 tipper saying, oh, Osmond Gold always slanders you on his streams. You know, I hear everyone say that literally about every person on the planet. So all I'm going to say is, it seems like everyone over the years has taken a fucking stab at me, all right, and made fun of me for various things. If I hated every person who ever took a stab at me or hated me for various things, I would have no one to talk to. I'd basically be sitting here talking to myself all day. So I think I need to be a little bit more open-minded than that, especially with the shit that's happened to me over the years and how I've been a topic of discussion, you know, worldwide on the internet for various reasons over the years. Personally, have I ever heard of Asmongold actually, like, trying to destroy me or being very malicious against me? No. Making a joke is one thing, or, you know, making a negative reference versus, oh, here's someone who actively is, like, fucking truly trying to rail Phil today. I've never heard that. You know, personally, I have no problems with the guy. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there was a whole show that all he did was make fun of me. I don't know. But I hear everyone just says this about everyone. I'm like, so I'm supposed to hate everyone, right? Like, every person I should just hate completely, right? Okay. Right. All right, guys. Anyway, I think this is time to split the part. So if you're watching this live on stream, stick around. If you're watching this on demand on DSPGaming, this will be part 1 ending, and there's going to be part 2 and maybe a part 3 depending on time permitting. So thank you for watching, and let's break here, and I'll be back shortly with more. Thank you again, and remember, many ways that you can support this kind of content. Liking the videos, leaving comments. What do you think about the things we discussed in this part? Let me know. Leave a comment on this video, okay? All right, guys, thank you, and I'll be back shortly for part 2. Ooh.